So let's talk about the Chicago White Sox, who are coming into town, scuttling. Let's say you would think if we were to ask you, after 59 games, nearly 60 games, after nearly 60 games, would you believe that the Chicago White Sox have only 3 more wins than the Detroit Tigers in 2022? If I asked you that at the beginning of the season, you would say, no, that's crazy. And if so, that means the Tigers are standing on their head and they're playing phenomenally. Well, guess what? The Tigers have not played phenomenally, but neither have the White Sox. In fact, we saw this last week. Tony La Russa deciding to walk Trey Turner in a 1-2 count, intentionally walk him in a 1-2 count, to then be followed up by Max Muncy hitting an opposite field 3-run home run. Just buffoonery, right? He doubled down on it and actually defended the decision, but that's neither here nor there. I'm glad they're actually coming to town, because hopefully, he'll do that same kind of stuff and mismanage games that will actually lead to victories for the Tigers. But this is a key series for the Tigers. This is a big series for the Tigers, in the sense that they have not performed well against the AL Central. Just to run down some numbers for you, in 2021, the Tigers were 30-46. 30-46 against the AL Central. Against everybody else in Major League Baseball in 2021, they were 47-39. 47-39. They were 8 games over 500 as a baseball team against every other team but the AL Central. Now, they've kind of flipped the script a little bit in 2022. They're 11-11, exactly 500 against the AL Central in 2022, and they are 13-24 against everybody else. Now, you would expect certain things to start to level out, but the key for the Tigers and the success of this rebuild is you got to beat divisional teams. Well, Chicago's a divisional team that's coming in and struggling. They're struggling. In fact, the Tigers are 10-7 in their last 17, and the White Sox in that same stretch are only 6-11. Okay? We're 4 games better than them over the last 17 games. So it's going to be an interesting series because, Chicago has highly touted their pitching staff that has been giving up a lot of runs over those 17 games. Now, the Tigers boast the second best bullpen in all of baseball right now. Our starters have at least gotten us to the point where we can compete in most cases. Obviously not on Sunday against the Blue Jays. Obviously not on Friday night against the Blue Jays as well. But in most cases, they've at least gotten us to, that bullpen that has been so good. And so I want to look at the starters, and there's not a lot of information here to give you because I don't think anybody knows who's starting this series on Tuesday. I looked in a number of different places, but we do know that Game 1 is going to be Lance Lynn versus Ronnie Garcia. Which is interesting. I would have thought that Faedo would have started on Monday following Skubal as he has, but Ronnie Garcia nonetheless is going to be starting for the Tigers. Game 2 is to be determined. Now, MLB.com has Dylan Cease slotted in against to be determined for the Tigers. The young White Sox stud Dylan Cease supposedly is supposed to be pitching that game. However, Baseball Reference and MLB.com have Dylan Cease taking on Alex Faedo Wednesday, which again is interesting because that's another day delayed for Faedo, and it makes me wonder who the Tigers are going to start on Tuesday. Could you see Eduardo Rodriguez come off of the IL? I don't know if he's ready. He's been out since mid-May. He's only made 1 rehab start. I don't know if that's the case, but maybe that's the news that comes up. Joey Wentz is still ailing. Obviously, we know the news of Casey Mize and Tommy John. No word on Michael Pineda that I've heard yet. So who the Tigers, maybe it's just going to be a bullpen game potentially, and then get back to Skubal to start the series against the Rangers on Thursday. I don't know. I can't even give you a best guess. If I were to guess, it's going to be a bullpen game. You can see Willie Peralta starting the game on Tuesday. But we'll see. We'll see. It's going to be an interesting series for the Tigers because you have a White Sox team who is supposed to be the class of the division, who is not the class of the division. And again, listening to Dan and Jim talking about the AL Central this year, they were very adamant that this division is still very much up for the taking by really anybody except the Royals. Now, the Tigers would have a ton of work to do, right? They're 9.5 games back at last look of the division-leading Twins right now. They sit fourth, which means that they would have to jump 3 teams in order to do so. And so they'd have a ton of work to do. But sitting in second place right now is the Cleveland Guardians, which is surprising, first of all, that it's not the Twins, because I would have for sure thought the White Sox would be 1, the Twins 2, the Guardians, Tigers 3, the other one 4, and then the Royals 5. But right now, the White Sox are a mediocre baseball team. They're not a great ball team right now. Yes, they lost Eloy Jimenez. They've also lost a number of significant players, but, every team deals with injury. So it's going to be very interesting to see how the Tigers can make their starters work, have a good approach at the plate, and stop with all this chasing, all this, lack of contact at balls that are in the zone. All those different things that add up to just a subpar offense, they've really, really got to start to figure out how to hit at a ballpark that has been rating out as a relatively decent hitter's ballpark, Comerica. I know we think about the big walls and all that, but the spacious outfield out there, if you can hit the gaps and you can go with pitches and drive them and hit them hard, you got an opportunity to run. I mean, we saw Eric Haas, who had caught all game, shoot a ball down the right field line and leg out a triple, which was phenomenal hustle. And we love to see that kind of thing here in Detroit, and we need to see more of it. Stop trying to hit the ball to the scoreboard. Hit the ball through the gaps. That's where the Tigers have to live and die over these next few series. If they want a shot at hitting a 3 out of every 5 games, as we've talked about in the projections, then they have to start hitting the gaps. They have to start driving the ball and stop necessarily worrying so much about launch angle and trying to get the ball over the fence, because that's not their game right now. They need to start just doubles replacing doubles. We saw it. The Blue Jays offense Friday night, double, replace double, home run, double, replace double, home run. Like, they did exactly what you should be doing. Turning on the ball, going with a pitch if necessary, but driving the ball to the gaps. And that's what I'm focusing on this entire series when I watch these games. The pitching's going to take care of itself. I'm not even looking at the pitching right now. I'm solely focused on the approach to at the plate. And what I'm going to mainly be focused on is I'm going to be looking at balls in the zone that they make weak contact on or swing through entirely. That's going to be I'm honing in on those things, because good hitters, the Yankees, the Blue Jays, those good offenses, they don't miss those pitches. And right now, the Tigers do not have that good offense, and they are missing those pitches. So check out at DSN at the corner on Twitter. I'm posting game cards when I cover games. All the score sheets are there, and I'll be color coding them to know which ball did not get driven that was in the zone, or if they chase, or just this offensive approach that's got to get cleaned up, because the Tigers have played, and I wrote it down, so I'm going to check my notes here really quick, but the Tigers have played 29 games. Well, they've played 59 games. In those 59 games, 29 of them have been 2 runs or less scored by the Tigers. In nearly half their games, they've scored 2 runs or less. They are the worst run-producing offense in all of baseball. And the record reflects that. In those games, in those 29 games where they've scored 2 runs or less, they've won 2 of them. They've won 2 of those games. That's not how you build a winning ball club. It's not how you start to make your fans feel like the rebuild is actually on the way up. You got to hit the baseball. It's the only way that you're going to score runs. It seems simple, but my goodness, like, balls in the zone, you have to drive. Balls out of the zone, you have to take. And that's just not happening. So in this series against the White Sox, I'm focused solely on offensive production. I'm focused solely on how they are approaching their at-bats. Are they attacking? Are they trying to make the pitcher make a mistake? When the pitcher does make a mistake, are they taking advantage of it? Because the good teams will take advantage of mistakes. The bad teams let pitchers get away with mistakes. So, 3 games against the White Sox. Very unsure about who's going to be starting when and what's going to be happening there. Even for the White Sox, they have Lance Lynn coming back. I imagine he'd be on a pretty short leash. They have Dylan Cease in multiple places slotted in game 2 and 3, which isn't possible. So he will be pitching 1 game, and somebody else will be pitching the 3rd game. You have 2 night games, Monday and Tuesday night, and then an afternoon getaway day for the White Sox on Wednesday. And then we will be here Wednesday night live to recap this White Sox series and then to discuss the upcoming series against the Texas Rangers.
I'ma get it, you know I be on the way.